For over half a century, humans have endeavored to make business a force for good. But is the movement working? Or is it time to explore a new path forward? Welcome to Less Talk, More Action. We are your hosts, Joel Caesar and Owen Barrett, experts in clean energy, net zero real estate, decarbonization, and entrepreneurship. In each episode, we ask provocative questions and share stories from the front lines of sustainability with leaders in science, tech, and business, taking real action to design a cleaner, better future. Thanks for joining the conversation. Now, let's get to work. Welcome to Less Talk, More Action podcast. My name is Joel Caesar, the world's undisputed voice of building decarbonization. Joining me as always is Owen Barrett, the founder and CEO of America's fastest growing solar company. Today's guest, Chad Gibson, the founder or the co-founder and CEO of Neuralwatt, former Microsoft engineer, building this company to help scale or helping the AI scalers use less energy. I mean, that description doesn't do it justice, but what an awesome, I mean, you and I said it right from the jump, like, oh, cool, data center guy. It was on the front lines of everything that's happening in the news with energy and public backlash and new technology. So I'm sure you enjoyed it. What'd you think?
Man, such a timely conversation. Like, I feel like this is such a good one for everyone to listen to because it's hard to ignore all the doomerism in like the AI space. And I just feel like, you know, similar to the climate world, you don't hear a lot of optimistic stories. It's all what's going to go wrong with the energy or the water or AGI. And so it's good to get a little perspective on the optimistic side of things.
Or taking jobs, yeah, all the other
taking jobs,
points,
yeah, whatever.
That your boy Bernie's always out there floating around.
Dude, me and Bernie, we're just, you know, two peas in a pod.
just trying to shut down data centers. All right, but before we jump into this fascinating conversation with Chad, let's do a bit. So I'm gonna throw this your way. I don't know what you want to call it, but you wanna have just a celebration of the entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it either. I guess like keeping faith, the I told you so moment that I think so many entrepreneurs have, and you know, you want to stay humble but also celebrate. But we have something going on at Shine. I can't speak to the details yet. Hopefully we'll be able to speak in like 30 or 45 days about what's going on. But it's just this moment of victory that makes the last 8 years worth it. It makes all the no's worth it. It makes all the late nights worth it. It's like this singular thing in time that happens that makes so much of the bullshit of the, you know, past X number of years worth it. And I feel like those instances need to be celebrated. And while you're grinding, and I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast, we get a lot of people with questions, you know, about startup advice. You gotta like maintain optimism that the day will come, because it will if you stick at it long enough. But sometimes it's hard to you know, hear all the no's, to keep doing something that's not really working. But when it comes, it's such a good feeling. It's just like there's nothing else in life that feels like it.
Well, I'll say to just add on to that and a respect for entrepreneurs, and it's timely in another way about kind of some of the political narratives happening in our country and Gen Z younger people veering towards socialism and communism kind of more so than past generations, and like the excessive wealth of the AI hyperscalers, and you know, that's related to what we're going to talk about with Chad a little bit. Just so like it's a moment to talk about like capitalism versus socialism, building companies versus, you know, I don't know, sharing the wealth. But I have not been a successful entrepreneur in my life. I tried to start a company called Stokeshare and it didn't work. We spent a bunch of years and never got it really made any money. You and I have had a couple attempts that didn't work. And in each case, you know, I felt a good idea and it was fun and exciting, but you know, it's hard. It's like most fail. And I learned a ton in the process, even through failure, that I bring to my current life. So, you know, whether or not it's like failure is like, you know, who knows? There's different ways to think about that. But it's just led me to have a perspective of, God damn it, I respect the people that do make it, because I've seen how hard it is and the risk and how easy it is to fail and lose a bunch of money. And I've lost family members' money, which is super hard to grapple with. And like, so anyone out there who's trying, it's like, That's why America's great. We should be supporting those people just for making the attempts and not be dragging those down who have succeeded.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I would even say the last thing, like it's not just entrepreneurship, right? It's like just working hard at something in your life for an extended period of time where there's not instant gratification. Like when the gratification does come, it feels so good.
That's true. Yeah, it's a good point. There's many ways to have that mindset, to keep going
Yeah.
and overcoming failure.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Look at you bringing optimism to the conversation. I love it.
For once, I'm not the pessimistic guy on
Not
here.
the doomer. Yeah.
That's for Bernie.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point to wrap up on as we jump into our conversation with Chad Gibson. Joining us today is Chad Gibson, co-founder and CEO of Neuralwatt. Chad is a former Microsoft engineer who spent years watching AI scale and ultimately compound the energy crisis alongside it. He saw firsthand how AI teams were planning in GPUs and latency while energy drove cost and capacity behind. The realization led him to co-found Neuralwatt with Scott Chamberlain with the mission to enable AI to grow responsibly and without energy constraints. Neuralwatt customers achieve 33% more compute from existing power envelopes without adding new hardware. As AI becomes one of the largest new loads on the grid, Chad and his team are building the infrastructure intelligence layer that helps organizations scale AI without scaling their energy footprint alongside it. So, Chad, welcome to Let's Talk More Action.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, this is very cool. I'm excited. I don't think we've had an AI data center play here yet, so lots to dive into.
Timely conversation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but Chad, we always kick our guests off with the same first question: how are you taking action to make the world a better place?
It's a great question. So I think with neural, I mean, as an engineer, right? I am an AI optimist. That's a whole fun topic as well. In AI, there's a lot of fear about AI when it comes to energy and power, and we really believe that we can achieve our AI ambitions without having to go to some of the scary places of rising power bills, much more grid instability. And so we really believe we can achieve our AI goals with the energy we have and with the power we have. And there's tons of opportunity for efficiency, to use the resources we have to enable AI to grow and do all the pretty amazing things we think it can do.
Well, Owen is a Bernie Sanders AOC AI doomer, so
Don't get that shit on the internet. It's never going to come off.
sorry, Owen, go ahead.
No, I mean, I cannot tell you how overloaded my my LinkedIn feed has been with these idiots dropping Anthropic because they signed the deal with XAI, and XAI doesn't like, or
Oh my
people
God,
don't
yeah.
like the fact that Elon put
We haven't
all
talked
these
about this.
Oh God, it's just like,
Yeah.
stop!
I'm not gonna
Generators and
all the sustainability nerds who think they have any control over anything. I'm
Freaking out.
boycotting Anthropic
Yeah,
because they're
it's like,
using fossil
fine.
fuels. Like, grow up.
Use a worse product. Yeah, but all of that aside,
Sorry,
this
Chad.
is like the most timely conversation that we've ever had here. So I'm super excited. But I don't know anything about AI. I don't know how software works. I am not that guy. I'm a finance guy. So how can you do what you guys are doing? How functionally does it happen?
To go a little bit into our history, so I would say Scott, my co-founder, he at Microsoft did a lot of pretty awesome stuff with carbon observability and carbon optimization. Basically, how can we reduce the carbon footprint of a worldwide network of computers? And so he invented a lot of techniques for basically how we can modulate processing to minimize what's happening in the grid. And so a lot of that led to work he did at Intel, and after Intel, he was kind of reinventing a whole new data center stack focused on, net zero. What all that work informed is there's a lot you can do in software to basically drive efficiency. And so if you think about AI, one of the big enabling factors of AI is these data center GPUs, NVIDIA, AMD, there's a whole bunch of other custom things. And these chips consume so much energy. I mean, they're amazing pieces of hardware, but they consume so much power. Like a modern day, just in the several years I've been working with AI, we've gone from 300 watts a chip to 700 watts a chip to 1200 watts a chip to now 1500 watts a chip. And so the power draw of these chips
These are
is
running
basically
24/7, these chips
24/7.
in these data centers.
And so people are racking more and more and more and more, like Colossus, as you guys were talking about, like that's one of the biggest installations in Memphis. And the way these are kind of provisioned is you look at the absolute max power draw of these servers, and then you figure out how much energy or power you need for that facility, and that math is how people figure out server density and whatnot. During runtime, there's a lot of volatility, and actually, in many cases, some of these facilities are only running at like 30% of utilization, 40% of utilization, sometimes even less. And so we have the ability in software to run these chips at the point of max efficiency, so that like the current power that's available to these facilities gets utilized and maximized. And so there's not as much excessive provisioning of power that's not used. Like I would say the talk track that gets discussed the most is like provisioning these big new massive facilities and what it's going to do to the grid, where we believe that we can do a lot more with energy and power that's already at these facilities, but just running at very low utilization. And I think the doing it in the data center world, like the white space is what you call things like within the server. There's a lot we can do in software within the server to allow us to just utilize more of the current energy to minimize how much big new capacity needs to occur.
Is a dumb way of thinking about it. Owen and I work on mainly buildings, office, commercial stuff. He's multifamily. There's lots of software out there that people are selling, trying to push, that can link into a BMS and kind of just learn about the buildings, existing controls, existing equipment, and automatically run it better, smarter, intuitively. Is that a dumb way of thinking what you're doing with data centers?
That's a great analogy. Another one I use is like on your laptop. When you unplug your laptop, like your laptop does things to maximize for battery life versus when you plug it in. Like it's that conceptual thing. One of our customers described what we do is we kind of give a dimmer to the GPU. Because sometimes the customer wants to run it in maximum efficiency mode. Sometimes they want to turn it down if there's some other kind of grid event, or if they have a bunch of on-site power storage like batteries. They want to prolong how long the fleet can run on batteries. And these are all techniques that can be managed and optimized to better utilize the current power for AI.
I live in Utah, and we just had a data center get approved here that I forget all the specifics, but it's going to use more electricity than the entire state currently uses. So people are up in arms about it.
I read about that.
Yeah, that's Owen is leading on the front lines with Bernie and AOC.
I'm out there with picket fences and billboards about how we should not do this and send it all to China. But I mean, like, so you're the premise here, and this is amazing, right? Is because this, like, there's so much doomerism in AI, like there is in climate, and it's just like it gets so old so fast. But I like your optimistic spin. We can do this. We don't even need new energy. There's a more efficient way to do what we're doing. How do we get your story in the headlines?
Yeah.
Like, how do we get that perspective out there? Because that's what the world needs.
Well,
his PR. I agree. There's too much fear.
Well, his PR team put him on the world's fastest growing sustainability podcast. So
you're gonna
box
get
checked.
Oh yeah.
No, he's in the headlines.
I mean, just to add to what you're saying, here in Seattle, there was a proposal to create, I think it was 630 megawatts of new data centers in the actual city of Seattle, and the mayor immediately responded with a moratorium. And what's happy and sad about that? So here in Washington, most of our energy is hydro in eastern
totally
Washington,
clean.
so it's like green, clean energy. Seattle actually has a relatively strong grid, but the fear was like proactively moratorium out of fear, because it has happened where in eastern Washington, where all the data centers are, there have been rising power prices because of this utility. So it's reasonable fear. But I think for us, our path of having more people of where we can do is just demonstrating what we do at larger scale. So we've done a bunch of work with various different customers, and a lot of those are, confidential, but we've started hosting our own cloud. And with our own cloud, it's interesting because we're actually selling AI by the kilowatt hour, kind of like utility. And we have a bunch of really interesting telemetry on how much efficiency we've saved ourselves. I mean, you kind of measure it in like US domestic households, which is pretty wild because our cloud product is still fairly new. But I think that's a great way is for us demonstrating it works in that we're able to demonstrate really high quality AI inference, if you will, with way less energy, and just continue to basically showcase what we've done at various different levels of scale.
Chad, do you listen to the All In podcast?
Yeah.
Do you hear the most recent one? I think it was the most recent one where they're just talking about how bad of a job the tech industry has done with like marketing AI, the benefits of AI, like benefits to society, et cetera.
I haven't read that one. I haven't listened to that one.
So do you ever push back on your customers signing NDAs? Like, I get that it's a competitive advantage if you can make a data center run more efficiently, but to this whole sort of bad publicity idea, like, don't we want these stories getting out? And isn't this good for the greater industry to maybe not sign NDAs and publicize what's happening?
That's actually an awesome point I never thought about because
great
like
question. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for, Joel.
yeah,
like,
I
Really
would,
my
that's the most
A game
insightful-
today.
Chad, that's the most insightful question Owen's ever had.
I've never even thought it because like we're a small company, we're fairly new, and so when we talk to customers, like we're eager to showcase how we can help them, and I never even thought to push back on an NDA because like for us that's the gateway to more engagement for them, like opening the kimono and sharing what's going on with us. And it's actually because there's one specific utility we did work with that I would love to pound my chest and share that with the world. Yeah, I hadn't thought about. I have not. So first, I have not pushed back on an NDA.
And if you're that utility in that example, yeah, like they
want to know. Everybody
should be
wants to know.
Getting this message out there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like in that case, like the utility is the trial is showing how more of the current grid can be used for AI without having to provision a lot of new energy and power supply.
That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Jason Calcanis on this show and pitch him this.
Yeah. We should. But Chad, it's along the lines of the question I was going to ask about like, who's your customer? And you sort of answered there, like, I can't always say. But I'm looking at an article here, which is on the internet. So I'm assuming this is free to speak about with Crusoe.
Yeah.
So it says Neuralwatt utilized Crusoe clouds, NVIDIA, HGX, H100 GPU
We've
clusters.
done a lot of work on Crusoe. So the answer to our customer is kind of, we have 3 products now really. And so Neuralwatt Optimize is what we started. And that's the software that anybody who's deploying a large fleet of GPUs, that product allows them to operate it more power efficiently. And so Crusoe is that class of customer. Neoclouds, hyperscalers, those words that describe people who are, some of these customers have fleets much like Colossus of hundreds of thousands of GPUs. And so that's like the core. That's I would say the deepest tech we have in the lowest level in the software stack. And then we also have a product called Neuralwatt Cloud where we are hosting GPUs. We're leasing it from multiple of those providers, running that optimized software, and then offering inference, energy efficient inference. And so
you're leasing the chips inside someone's data center.
Exactly.
Are you leasing out the like additional power that you're bringing on via your efficiency work?
We cut you off where that answer.
So on those GPUs we lease, we run our software. We're able to run inference with less power, and we are basically selling that inference by the kilowatt hour to our inference customers. So
that would be like if my company's buying inference from Anthropic, like
you got it.
Someone says instead of Anthropic, I'm buying from Neuralwatt in this case.
Yep.
Interesting.
Joel, you guys haven't boycotted
Anthropic
yet?
how many kilowatt hours your AI took during that period, and
wait, Owen had a smart ass question. What was it? I could just see by his tone of his voice.
It was that Cambia should go ahead and boycott Anthropic too. You guys get on the bandwagon.
I've been working on my snarky post to make fun of everyone being anti-Anthropic. So we'll talk about that later.
DVD.
So Chad, that was 2, I guess, or maybe you want to finish your second business operation, and there was a third, right?
Yeah, and so the third product is deploy, and deploy is the probably the biggest idea we have of all these. So when we've been talking to customers, a lot of like, so in the data center world, like there are people like I would say Microsoft, where I come from, that own and operate data centers, and then they run the servers inside the data center, right? There's also a class of companies called colocation providers, where like they build the big warehouse type thing, they get the power, and then their customers actually bring the servers. And so there's a large class of companies like that are colo providers, is another word for it. A lot of those facilities are running where they build this gigawatt facility, the customer brings the servers, and they provision the gigawatt of energy from the utility, and they're running at like 30%, 40% utilization. So there's a lot of theoretically available power in those facilities. Now, theoretically, if all their customers were like running their servers at full bore, it would be higher than 30 to 40%, but that never happens. So the power consumption in those facilities is like a curve. Neuralwatt Deploy is our ability to put GPUs in these facilities where they're only using power when the current tenants are not using it. And then we're able to basically run inference in a flexible way that allows that current power to be fully utilized. Stranded power is another phrase for this class, which allows, potentially hundreds of megawatts of energy to be used for AI without having to build more power. And so Neuralwatt Deploy is our product for those types of situations. And that one we've just started. We had like our first customer, and we want to scale that out because that would allow us with the other two products to scale out a lot more energy efficient inference in current powered locations.
I've got a dumb question because I've never been inside a data center, but when I think about the complexity of these things and how in my mind they're probably designed like super space efficiently, even if you have excess power that you can tap into, is there physical room for you guys to go put in more GPUs?
Yeah. So yes, because back in the day, we had a facility at Microsoft in Quincy that I went to a couple times, and so not that long ago, 5 years ago, these data centers were filled mostly with CPU servers, so servers with no GPUs, just CPUs, and so you'd get 1,000-watt racks. And so typically, data center, these racks that are 42 rack spaces, roughly 6 feet tall. And you pack these racks with servers that are either one rack space or 4 rack spaces. And the thing that AI has done is it's dramatically increased the power density per rack space. So actually, in an AI data center now, or if you take a look like one of those facilities in Quincy, if you swapped all those servers with AI servers, you'd only need like a tenth of the space because they're so power dense now. Yeah. So now we're seeing single racks. Like there's now like 500 kilowatt racks. In the data center world, there's a lot of people speculating when the first single megawatt rack. So one rack consuming 1 megawatt of power. Where like 5 years ago, you'd have 1 megawatt data centers. Now you're having a single rack take 1 megawatt. So the power density is increasing dramatically, which is reducing the amount of space you need. Now it's having secondary effects like requiring more cooling because these data center GPUs also require a lot more cooling because they run super hot. But yes, in many cases there is space because the energy and power density is compressing so much. So it's like there are space to put GPUs to fully utilize the stranded power because many of these facilities were built out for lesser power density.
This is all fascinating, and we could probably spend all day just being nerds about learning from an AI expert. But trying to, I guess, bring it a little bit back to the theme of the show, the way it usually works is, we're talking about sustainability, climate, net zero stuff. Clearly, there's a story to tell about you, and as Owen is mentioning here, being a major source of optimism for the fears about environmental impacts of data centers. But are you out there, like, are you calling yourselves like an impact? Like, you go to these hyperscalers and say, we want to help with your net zero commitment? Is that part of your vernacular, or not worried about it?
No.
Sort of.
Yeah,
I say sort of. Like we believe in that strongly. Like we have. So I mean, if you take what we have today, which is energy observability, energy efficiency. It's a very, very, very gentle step forward to translate that to carbon efficiency and carbon observability. Like it's really difficult today to, using any model, understand the carbon footprint of your AI use. We want to solve that as well. And so we're working on some products there that will augment our energy observability and energy efficiency with carbon efficiency and observability as well. So we absolutely believe that, and we've had some customers ask for that. So some of the facilities we run cloud in are net zero, like geothermal facilities and whatnot. And so we've just started to have some customers that want their AI run in fully net zero locations. And so we think that's a great opportunity as well. Yes, I think when we started, actually, like the genesis of the company again stemmed from Scott's work doing, net zero and carbon observability and carbon optimization. We focused on energy because we saw more critical problems for that. Like we saw an immediate opportunity to reduce the energy demands of AI accelerators, the chips, if you will. And we also think that solving for energy also has benefits with carbon. But we absolutely believe that the future is one where people will want net zero AI. They'll want to know the carbon footprint of the AI they're using, in addition to being able to reduce their energy consumption as well. So all those things are related to what we're doing.
Can I ask maybe a bit of a controversial question? And you feel free to punt this if you want, but you really think that these tech companies are interested in net zero AI, or do you think that they're interested in squeezing out, more inference, more compute, more whatever per square foot or per permitted data center?
I mean, I believe in both, which maybe that's it. So if we look at cloud computing, right? Cloud computing, the advent of people, because back in the day, big companies would have their own data centers and they'd have their own servers. And then, Amazon launched AWS and people started, using cloud computing. And then probably in 2009, 2010, people wanted to start knowing their carbon footprint of their cloud computing resources. So if you go to Azure or AWS, you can see your carbon utilization. And so that level of and then that led to Microsoft and Amazon doing all these net zero goals and buying all these offset credits for the data center use.
Yep, stuff.
They have paused that a little bit.
I don't, Chad. You don't know this about me. I worked on net zero at Google, and so we tend to mock this that world of buying the offsets and the net zero. Not mock. I mean, look, Owen and I are both impact focused. We believe in climate change and everything, but just on the show, we tend to mock the way it got out of hand in this industry of thinking you were get to net zero with offsets, totally. and now how that's just been shattered by the AI boom.
Totally. And so I think on one hand, these companies are all under dramatic competition with each other because they all want to build out to be able to service the capacity in the future. Now, from what I gathered in the cloud compute era, it was customers that drove them to provide a lot of that net zero accountability and offsetting. I agree with you that the best way to do it is to just, not generate the carbon or not emit the carbon in the first place versus emit it and then buy credits elsewhere. And so I think that is a future as well. And so I think more data centers that are built on net zero sources is a beautiful, wonderful thing, which is why we use a lot of capacity in Finland because it's all geothermal. And I think a lot of our customers really.
This Crusoe story, it was in Iceland. I don't know if it's the one. I know there's a lot of geothermal being used in Iceland, so I imagine that's a pretty low carbon data center.
Yeah, and Crusoe's doing a cool thing with the Redwood facility where it's all solar and recycled EV batteries. With a facility, I think it's in Nevada. They're doing really cool things with energy to power AI. But I guess I believe the desire to be competitive in today's market is causing all of those companies to build out. But I also do believe it can be done in a way that is responsible and minimizes carbon emissions. The balance between those two is a difficult thing for those hyperscalers and Neoclouds, but I think as customers demanded more, I think that'll cause them to act for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Chad, let's transition a little bit here. Sounds like you got a great company. You guys are kicking butt. Big customers already. fascinating concept. So tell us a little bit, like we like to learn as much about the product and how you're solving the world's problems. And we've done that here. And then we'd like to transition a little bit to your story and the entrepreneurial journey. So tell us a little about what prompted you to say, I got to start this company, or Scott and I got to start this.
Yeah.
Tell us about the journey.
Well, first, a couple fun facts. So Scott and I, we were both at Microsoft 20 years, and the first product we were both on together was Zoom. You guys ever heard of it?
Never. What does it do?
It was Microsoft's version of the iPod.
Oh, I thought you were saying Zoom. I was being an asshole.
No, this is ancient. Like, we were on Zoom together. So Scott, we're on the Zoom team together, and that was the first product we were ever on together. And then, my journey to starting this came from, I was in the gaming division at Microsoft, and two things happened. One, we had taken this product from Microsoft Research, which was called Look For, where basically they were doing real-time using AI, machine learning, to understand what's going on in 50,000 concurrent live streams. And so their first demo was like, show me all the live streams that have a giraffe in the current scene. Like, doing research to detect objects. And so they're trying to find ways that this could be productized. And so I had led at Microsoft the acquisition of a company called Beam, and we created a product called Mixer, which was Microsoft's version of a Twitch TV compete. And that kind of changed me, because that was acquiring a local Seattle startup, and it was very early stage for Microsoft. Most of my time at Microsoft had been huge, large enterprise products.
What was the company called again that they bought? Okay.
Beam Interactive, and then in Microsoft, that became the Mixer product. And so that all I wanted to do was early stage stuff after that point. And then integrating this Microsoft Research technology, where it became this feature called the Hype Zone. I don't know if you guys are familiar with battle royale games. I mean, we're going down a deep video game tangent, but it's a classic video game where you want to know people who are about to win. And so we deploy this AI to surface amongst all these live streams who was about to win. And it was a really interesting use of AI.
How long ago was this?
I left Microsoft to just focus on startups. And so I started investing, first of all, and then...
But even the story of you guys using AI at Microsoft seems like it's earlier than people realized AI was being deployed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was 9 years ago. That was a long time ago.
Wow.
So
that's the story of someone internal who was way ahead of the general population on AI's capabilities and future. And I'm jumping ahead here, and then you got a whiff of the cool startup vibe of when you guys bought this cool Seattle-based startup, and then that got the wheels turning.
Yep. And so when I started looking at companies, at that point, the startup world in Seattle hadn't fully transitioned to all AI companies, which it is now. Pretty much all new companies in Seattle are all some form of AI company. And I don't know, just seeing when then the ChatGPT moment happened, and just seeing what was possible, it was hard to not want to build again. I'm skipping over a whole bunch of stuff, but then that led to Scott, similar thing. When he left Intel, he was completely mission focused to build a net zero data center architecture. He had built a pretty fascinating set of technology after leaving Intel. And him and I started talking, and I had seen through some of the early work, all of this AI companies struggling with infrastructure, whether that was access to GPUs or just challenges racking more GPUs. And so we took a look at his tech. We did some prototypes to focus on energy, focused on these AI accelerators energy. The prototypes were pretty awesome to us. And so we pretty much went full time then, and that was end of 2024. And then the rest is just, we immediately started talking to customers, and that's the path we've been on since a year and a half, I guess.
That's some crazy.
What's it like as a startup? Obviously everyone's hearing, just you can't listen to anything or watch anything without AI being in the headlines. So there's so much money being dumped into AI. It's led by a lot of massive publicly traded companies. What's it like as a small startup trying to sell into the Mag 7?
It's not easy because every channel is saturated. And so one of the funny things that conferences are back, actual face-to-face human interaction. is super valuable again, which I like, because like uh, whatever channels worked 5 years ago, whether that was LinkedIn outreach or cold outreach, like those channels are so saturated right now. And so I talked to some of our customers and like their inbounds are just completely saturated. So it's a lot of connections, a lot of our networks, a lot of networking, a lot of how to leverage our networks. We have some advisors who've been super helpful with that end. Our investors have been super helpful.
Yeah,
That's the biggest challenge, I would say. It's just the channels are all saturated. So even explaining what you do to the right person at the right customer is a challenge because they're inundated.
Well, again, a lot of your target customers are going to be hearing this podcast, so get ready for some inbounds. It happens. They call it the Less Talk, More Action bump. But so I guess then, similar to like Owen's line of questioning, I'm on your website and it shows who you're backed by and some incredible VCs, and there's Microsoft, there's Nvidia. So it seems like you guys have a strong backing here, strong team developed. What's holding back growth? Is it the sales process? Is it what you just described, getting in front? It's saturated right now. What's the future for Neuralwatt, I guess? What's on your mind?
So nothing's holding back growth. Like, so we just launched the cloud product, like, I think it was 2 months ago. And that's been nuts. That's like, so we haven't published any numbers on it, but roughly like we've been doubling our volume every 9 days for 6 weeks. So we're like growing, and it's been mostly organic growth, which is cool. It's people who care about energy transparency and energy efficient AI, and our current users have been like the biggest advocates, and so most of our growth has come from them, and that's been the most motivating. I mean, we've had some pretty awesome moments in the time this company's been born, but like the last 6 weeks of having those users advocate us and drive our growth has been the coolest thing in the world. So growth isn't our challenge right now. It's like we're a tiny company, and this isn't really specific to our space. It's just any company at our stage. Like, what's the best way to manifest the growth? How fast do you grow? How fast do you want to grow? Like some of our customers, these Neoclouds, the people who've been there for 4 months are like the old timers, because like the company changes every month because they're growing so fast.
What does that mean? Neocloud? Like who is that encompass?
Neocloud. So hyperscalers represent the Googles, the Microsofts, the Amazons of the world. People building big data center footprints, Meta.
Yeah.
Neoclouds. I don't know where that that term was coined, but like it's the class of companies that are doing it focused primarily on GPUs. So CoreWeaves, Crusoes, Nebius, where they're conceptually doing the same thing as Google Cloud Platform or AWS, but purely focused on AI clouds. And so there's probably, I think, like maybe 100 of those companies now. CoreWeave, Nebius, and Crusoe are probably 3 of the most popular ones. But there's a lot of companies that are, honestly, a lot of that have came from the Bitcoin world, where they have these big Bitcoin mining facilities and they're transitioning those to be AI factories. Anyway, Neocloud are folks building big fleets of GPUs.
Yeah, it says just a quick search. Unlike traditional hyperscalers, Neoclouds are lean, purpose-built, and designed to provide fast, cost-effective access to computing power. Man, this was cool. Owen, I'm going to wrap them up here. Any final questions for our brilliant guest?
Not a final question, but I'm curious if you know anyone in like doing something similar to you, but for water in data centers. Because that's the other like side of the doomer story is, our water's going to get sucked up. Like I'd love to get a guest on here that can speak to that.
Yes, absolutely. So like in cooling, there's fascinating things happening with closed loop cooling systems, two-phase cooling systems, immersion cooling systems. Like I personally find the technology behind two-phase cooling is fascinating, where instead of just circulating water, I can't fully give it justice, but you're relying on the liquid to vapor phase transition as an energy efficient mechanism. So like the physics of that is built into these cooling systems. It's super cool.
Yeah.
But they're closed loop, meaning that like they have a supply of coolant that doesn't have to tap into water reserves in the nearby area.
And this is like when you talk to people who are actually in the industry, this is what you hear: closed loop cooling systems. But then you hear, you see headlines or you hear the pushback, and it's like, well, everyone's scared that data centers are gobbling up all the water. So which
Yeah,
one
you
is it?
hear
Because I
you
don't
hear
think
the
it's both.
people like Chad
No.
know there's solutions being deployed. There's a lot of great technology being
Yeah.
incubated, but then there's the one story of the news grabs onto, and that's what everyone uses as the villain.
Yeah.
There's so much fear. There's so much fear, and I think it's. I mean, maybe this is more of a like fear is easier to communicate than optimism.
Yeah.
So I think optimism needs to try 10 times as hard to get the message out, and I think there's a lot of cool reasons to be optimistic, but
You're
there's
jumping
a
ahead.
lot
You're
more
jumping ahead to
energy.
my final question here. We always wrap up on just this, Chad. So again, it's great to have you. This is a good segue. Especially in our world of net zero sustainability, as we're talking now, doomerism. Everyone's worried about too many things and focus on the downsides and the pessimistic outlooks on the environment. But we like to keep it positive here, especially as we end the show and focus on optimism. So, Chad, what gives you hope for the future?
I mean, there's so many cool forms of energy. Like one of my favorite, I don't know if you guys saw the news, like company Panthalassa, they're based out of Portland, where like first, like a couple months ago, there's all this excitement about data centers in space, but this one I really like. It's like floating data centers in the ocean, completely
Oh, I
powered
saw
by wave
this.
energy.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
I
saw
have not.
that.
I have not seen this. We did a bit recently where we made fun of basically humanity or America, being like, "Are we crazy that it's easier to build energy infrastructure in space than it is in America?"
So like Panthalassa is like, and then there's a company doing the Dragon Wings, these like containerized data centers that you put in the desert with the solar energy. Like there are really cool things happening that are super innovative that allow us to reuse existing energy without emitting stuff into the atmosphere. That there's just so much unexplored. Panthalassa really blew my mind, and you should go to their website. Their visuals are beautiful, and it's just a really really cool concept. And I just imagine the ones I've heard of, like there's so many things like that again that aren't as known, and I just believe there's so much opportunity for us to capitalize on the renewable resources we have to power the emissions we have.
Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, I'm actually looking at these dragon wings right now. This is awesome too.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Well, the doomers are always wrong, Chad. So, luckily you're not one of them, and smart people like you are out there drowning out the noise and deploying solutions. So it's been great to have you. We'll be out rooting for you. As we end up here, if people are fascinated, want to learn more, what do you plug? Go to your website, follow you
Yeah,
on
go to our
LinkedIn.
website. You can email me directly, Chad@Neuralwatt, or we have info@Neuralwatt. Both of those work.
Oh, Chad, your inbox is going to get blown up after this podcast.
I love it.
goes
I want
live.
that. That's a happy problem.
Yeah. Yeah, just like your problem earlier was like, well, we're growing so fast, we just don't know if maybe we should slow ourselves down. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good problem.
Yeah, it is.
Well, cool. Chad, again, thanks for coming. Thanks for being on the show. Good luck with everything, saving
Thanks.
the world and making our data centers more efficient. Thank you, Owen. Thank you to our audience for joining. You can find Owen and I on LinkedIn, usually actively antagonizing the more talk, more complaining sustainability crowd. You can find this podcast and more great content at lesstalkmoreaction.com. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And until next time, we encourage you to ask yourself, what are you doing to take action to make the world a better place?